Hi, welcome back to part 4 of a two-part series on building an airsoft DMR. Before I get into it, this is not a sponsored video, but I have noticed that Double Bell, the manufacturer of the airsoft rifle sitting behind me, actually subscribed to my YouTube channel. So if y'all want to sponsor a video and want me to review one of these or one of these and are willing to hook me up with a good deal, call me, leave a comment, whatever. I'm sure we can work something out if you, assuming you want a fair and honest review. I'm not going to lie. Anyways, part 4. Let's go over what's changed since the last part. Obviously, new paint job, just because I'm in a much darker area, more green, so I added some green to it and repainted some of it. Also replaced the scope. I found that the Tasco scope I was using just wasn't clear enough to see those BBs out past 150 feet. My backyard range goes out to 188, and if the wind will behave, this will hit out that far. I also moved the sling point up forward. That gives me the ability to use a 2-point sling as a hasty sling, where I didn't have that ability when it was back here. I also got rid of the vertical grip. I found myself wanting to grab right there, and the vertical grip was just in the way. I suspect for longer airsoft games, I'm going to end up doing the front of the mag well thing to grab it, just better wrist position. I put in an ASG M125 spring on it at the moment, and that seems to be producing a good velocity. I'll drop in the numbers, but basically when I put the spring in, I was getting velocities that were just a little too hot. So I let it sit for a week inside the gun. Put 100 BBs through it. That didn't seem to make any difference. It was like 10 FPS hot. So I let it sit. Came back a week later. It was huge. I did notice after doing that I've got but my FPS was increasing after about the first 10 shots. And a little more research on that, and I discovered what seemed to be happening is the hop-up was slipping. Now, this has got a VFC hop-up in it from... The hop-up assembly, I think, is about 8 years old, which is far longer than VFC probably expected anyone to use one of their guns for. I mean, the average airsoft player plays for less than a year, so 8-year-old equipment is kind of crazy. And I suspect the O-ring that held it in position just failed. So I went to Hobby Lobby, and I bought my first hot glue gun. And I bought the cheapest one they had there, which, being Hobby Lobby and their market being women, was bright fluorescent pink. And I bought the cheapest hot glue that I could get there, which also was bright fluorescent pink. So, if we just flip this around, the hop-up is glued in place in bright pink. So I let it sit for a little longer, and my FPS has dropped to about 1.7 joules, and we'll drop in the actual test numbers. The consistency is fine. It's much improved from the original. So I'm overall happy with this gun. I did make one other attempt to finally put a suppressor on the end of that. And I picked up... Oh, figures I don't have it. One sec. Welcome back. What I ended up picking up was this. This is a bolt replica of an Allen Engineering M5 suppressor. The original SPRs were sold with an Bell Mk12 model suppressor, and there was probably something like 200 of those made. Before the founder of Ops Inc. passed away, his daughter ran the business, their FFL got pulled because of bad record keeping, and Mr. Allen, who had actually done the manufacturing for Ops Inc., went into business producing suppressors. And this is an amazingly good reproduction. Like that profile at the front is accurate to the real Allen Engineering suppressors. The knurling on the side, the back is more open, and the idea is this would fit over our mock suppressor, and there's threads inside here to fit on the mock suppressor like the real thing would. Really seems like a cool idea. I should also mention the front is removable if for some reason you want to do that. We'll get to that in a second. So Double Bell made their whole front end of their compensator removable, and the suppressor is supposed to connect to these threads here. You take off the thread protector and it would screw onto there and then extend back onto that collar. So the suppressor on the gun would extend that far back. And it would stick out like that. Now, what I discovered is the threads on the inside here are just horribly wrong. Put the cover back on that way. This might get a drop of Loctite later. If I take this thing, not only are those threads too big, the entire thing will pass through. I wiggle it a little bit. So it's like, it's not even close. I have no idea how bolt threaded this thing. I have no idea how this is threaded, but it doesn't fit. And like, I have seen one guy say online the sizes. If Double Bell, if you want to leave a comment with how this is threaded, I'd appreciate it. Same with that, actually. Just so you might be able to find something that bolts on. So anyways, it's an incredibly nice looking suppressor, but it just doesn't fit. Kind of annoying, but hey, you know, yeah, that's just plain annoying. So at this point, I'm happy with this gun. I'm going to try to find some time to get it out to an airsoft field and actually shoot some people with it. But before I do that, I just want to briefly show you, like, I thought this was going to be an easy project. Here are some of the original parts I replaced. Here are some more of the original parts I had to replace. There are 2 bags of parts that just didn't work. I mentioned this spring is currently in it. Here are some of the springs I bought to try to tune it to get the velocity right. So I went through more than a few springs in this project. Shims for the new gears. Those actually turned out to be useful. So some of those are in the gearbox. And of course, I tried a vertical grip. That didn't work very well. So that's an unused part. The suppressor I just mentioned isn't getting used. And originally I bought that suppressor to thread on back here, if I could get to those threads. And this would be about, it's close to the right length. I can't remember what this is from Matrix. And that is also not being used because I can't remove that thing even like trying to drill it out. It doesn't want to come off. So this project has ended up being a lot more work and a lot more time and a lot of unused parts. And just trying things to figure out what works and what doesn't. So if you decide to build an airsoft DMR, don't expect it to be straightforward and easy, like I thought at the original. But hopefully the results will be worth it on an airsoft field. Oh, and if you actually want to see this thing get used to play airsoft, do the whole subscribe thing, and hopefully I'll have another video of that posting, a month or so, when I finally get time to get out to a field.